the Big Bang, many scientists would contend, was not an explosion within space, but actually a rapid expansion of space-time itself. The problem still applies, doesn't it, that the farther each particle of matter gets from each other, the less likely it is to ever be pulled in by mutual gravity and create the first star, the first planet, the first galaxy, or anything, right?
Right. And so, for example, that's one of the things that dark matter is used for. Remember, I mentioned that 23% of the universe has to be dark matter. And they'll actually say things like little pieces of dark matter started to clump together.
Okay.
Again, just magic, I'm not sure how. And then that dark matter would actually pull in the gases that could make a star. Again, once I'm allowed to have that little piece of magic pixie dust in the center, I can pretend it does anything I want to. So now I have enough gravity to actually pull the gas together, because as you said, as the gas condensed, it would tend to heat up, which would basically push it apart.
Okay.
And so you have dark matter causing that. And so so you're right. It's and then you have to get the planet forming. All kinds of problems with planet formation, the current theories. It's kind of fun. I mean, that's what makes science fun, is everything's changing.
Absolutely.
So I don't have, I think everybody's excited about the fact we really don't know how planets form. We don't know why they form. When we find these other solar systems with planets, again, it's almost with every article, it's like, well, based on this, we're going to need to rewrite the textbook. So this goes against this current theory, and that's fantastic. That's what makes science interesting. But it comes back to when that, limited science, or to some extent, at some point, it actually does become fake science, when that's used to challenge somebody's faith, to cause them to say, well, maybe the Bible can't be trusted. Maybe the Bible's been mistranslated. Maybe this about the Bible. That's when, to me, it's a concern. The fact that we really don't know much about the universe, to me, that's fascinating. That's just like Mike Griffin said, that's why we should explore. That's what's so good about the space program.
Absolutely. I mean, and they call space the final frontier, right? But I love this quote of yours: our current knowledge of the universe is extremely limited.
Yeah.
We all admit that. And discoveries are being made daily that are causing us to have to rewrite or rethink everything, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So the more and more we learn, it's not bringing us to a closer realization that the Big Bang actually took place. Here's the scientific proof. What it actually is showing us is that we really don't understand how some of these other things work.
Right.
Now, many people would say, well, then you insert a God of the gaps. Have you heard that expression before?
Yeah, you hear it.
And so you insert a God of the gaps. You don't understand it, so you say God did it. What are secular scientists, atheistic scientists doing, which is very similar?
Oh, it's exactly the same, but they just try to make it sound more technical. I don't know how else to phrase it. I mean, there's no difference between a multiverse generator, and whatever they want to call a God of the gaps, or this, everything somehow, popped out of a singularity, and what they call a God of gaps. Or for that matter, at our current state of understanding dark matter, dark energy, it is interesting. There's biblically consistent theories that completely eliminate the need for dark energy. And they also explain how the universe could appear the way it does from an Earth that's a few thousand years old. And so, to me, that would be a better theory to pursue just purely scientifically, because I don't need to make up dark energy. I don't need to make up the 73% that I really have absolutely no idea what it could possibly be. And that's our knowledge of quote-unquote dark energy right now. But it requires the Earth to be in a special location. Okay. And so what's so funny is the religious assumption. It's called the Copernican principle. But that religious assumption, so now we're putting religion on science, because it's purely religious. They're saying we can't be in a special place. Well, that's atheism. That's just their religious assumption. And once you say we can't be in a special place, when there's a whole lot of evidence that we are in a special place, then you drive to these really bizarre theories that really cease to be scientific. But again, it's when they accuse Christians of mixing in religion. Their theory happens to be accepted, but they're doing exactly the same thing. Instead of just saying, okay, the observations would say we're in a special location, and wow, that's tells us this, and this. They'll say, well, we can't be in a special location, and then everybody says, okay, well, I guess 96% of the universe must be made up. It's got to be 73% dark energy. So they accept that faulty, again, purely religious assumption. Then it drives you away from just being able to look at what our observations tell us, look at what science will really say.
So the Copernican principle has sort of been corrupted into the mediocrity principle, which basically states that there is no favored position.
Right.
And it's based off of the assumption that the universe is accidental, that there was no designer.
Right. Yeah.
If there was a designer, and we have his history book, we have his instructions on how he created the universe, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void. So the earth is central to the creation account in the Bible.
Yep.
Now, does this mean that the earth is the exact center of the universe? We're not saying that.
Right.
But we are saying that it holds a special place in God's eye.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so once we're, and then that's why, atheists again will say, well, that's not allowed. Because if we're in a special location, then that would imply there's a creator, that we are someplace, is something special.
Yeah.
And so, but what's interesting is if we did happen to be near the center of the universe, because God did put us someplace, if we did happen to be there, then if you look into the accounts of what would happen with gravitational time dilation, it actually gives a very, consistent with Genesis, gives a very good explanation of how the universe appears the way it does from an Earth that's a few thousand years old. And of course, Dr. Russ Humphreys has done a tremendous job explaining that idea, but it makes sense. We are allowed to be in a special location. It's very biblically consistent.
All right, now, you threw out a term here that, yes, we're familiar with, but I want you to break it down, because some of these things are hard to grasp, all right?
Okay.
So Dr. Russell Humphreys looked into gravitational time dilation. Gravitational time dilation is actually based on Einstein's theories of relativity.
Yeah, it's based on Einstein's theory of relativity. We've had experimental confirmation of those theories. We haven't seen it be violated yet. We always want to keep testing theories, but
that's good science so far.
Yep.
And basically, this predicts that clocks run at slightly different rates depending on where you are throughout the universe, or how far you are down in a gravitational well. It's experimentally observed, isn't it? Because we can measure atomic clocks at sea level, on the tops of mountains in Denver, or even on the International Space Station.
Yep.
And they run at slightly different rates.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So explain how this might even answer the question, or partially at least answer the question, of how we can see distant starlight from galaxies billions upon billions of light years away if the universe is only 6,000 years old. And that's still a long time, thousands of years, but it's not billions.
Right. So God talked to people on Earth, because people immediately say, well, which time frame are you using? The Bible's written to people on Earth. And so if we're very deep in a gravity well, basically below an event horizon, literally time will not pass at all compared to what's going on outside that event horizon.
Okay.
And so you could literally have the entire universe developing while 0 times passing on Earth on day 4, and then the stars would appear instantly. Once, as the Bible says about 17 times that God is stretching out the heavens, as he stretched out the heavens, once we came back out of that timeless zone, I guess you could call it.
Okay.
So it's a very biblically consistent theory, but it's also consistent with our observations, and it eliminates the need for dark energy. So if I just want to look at scientifically, I don't know much about this yet. I would tend to favor the theory that doesn't make me make stuff up, like dark energy, because at least, and people, we still argue about it, and people say, well, does that, from a purely scientific standpoint, now as Christians, we know the Bible's God's inerrant word, but even as a non-Christian, if someone was a non-Christian, just looking at it objectively, they'd want to be allowed to consider both theories, and they're not. There have actually been petitions signed by hundreds of scientists saying, hey, it's time to give up on the Big Bang. Those are largely ignored at the moment, but it's not a, again, it's not purely a religious argument. It's more of an argument as, hey, we should be allowed to just pursue however the evidence leads us and not be constricted to only theories that support atheism or somehow don't support the Bible. And that's, I think,
which are in trouble right now. Those theories are in trouble, and I think that they will be replaced with other theories. Now, the new theories will probably also try to come at it from an atheistic perspective.
I think they'll almost be required to now, and they shouldn't be. We should be allowed to just look at the science. What is it telling us?
We should be allowed to freely think. We should be allowed to think outside the box and to consider all possibilities.
Right, and that's true science. To me, it becomes fake science when you're like, well, no, you're not allowed to consider that because it doesn't agree with that person's religious view. And so if that person is an atheist and says, well, that doesn't agree with atheism, then that shouldn't trump being able to just look at the observations, look at the data, see where it leads us. It kind of goes back to, Joshua 24:15, when it talks about choose where we're going to put our faith. And one point on that one, we couldn't make any choice whatsoever if God hadn't given us a spirit. In other words, if I was just several thousand trillion atoms, I'd just be chemically reacting here, reacting a little faster because of the great coffee you guys have. But, it's, I would just be a chemical reaction. But as far as being able to make a choice, like what shoe did I put on first this morning?
Right.
Or any choice at all, if I'm just several thousand trillion atoms, I can't make a simple choice.
That was random chemicals bumping together.
Exactly. But I know I can make choices. So that proves the existence of God. So to me, any rational, sane person, when they're looking at this, they ought to at least be willing to accept God. Now, they might not believe the Bible. I mean, those are different studies, but at least they should acknowledge, okay, we know there's something supernatural gave them even that fundamental ability to choose. And so again, it comes back to just following the observations, following the data where they lead.